Uh, Welcome to the DFS_PhD show for today, the 2nd of November, Thursday Night Football. Remember, you're good enough, you're strong enough, and gosh darn it, someone's got to win that money, and it was not us. It was Scout. It was one other guy. Who was it? Oops, it's in the thread. Mr. Wonka Man and Scout took it down. They were not on the list of top 20 people of either under 5 dupes or uniques, but still they won. And I wanted to, oh right, the important thing about their lineup, just so we have a little review about it, is the Raiders D, right? So when a defense is optimal, it's not just because it's a low scoring game, it's because there's a defensive touchdown, right? And the defensive touchdown is not correlated with the running back. So I don't know if you noticed, but the second place lineup was an 80-way chop or a 79-way chop, the second place unique. And the only difference from this one was it had the correlated defense. It had Detroit defense, the idea being a blowout. And, the Raiders don't score that one defensive touchdown. But all it takes is one bad pick six, and boom, the thing is optimal. And these guys are splitting 300K. The other guys would have been chopping 40, 30, 25, something very small compared to this. You got to look for leverage like that, and you got to think, when are my rule is no good, and when is everybody going to have the same rule and the rule is no good? That's when you can find good leverage. And yeah, I think we got a couple of spots. It's a tricky slate for me because I've made both of the calls I'm about to make for you before. The game tonight is Pittsburgh versus Tennessee. So either sharks like us are going to win all the money, or it's going to feel real bad. It's going to feel real bad. Now, since it's a primetime game, I have a guess about which way it's going to go, but I'm not going to complain. Okay, so right off the bat, I probably am not going to be 80% Ty Spears, but I am going to be an absurd amount Ty Spears, captain, a fair amount Will Levis, a fair amount all the other of these ridiculous people, a surprising amount of Jalen Warren. Yes, so I have the same take I've had before. I've had both of these teams on primetime before, so I can give you the spiel again. Derrick Henry is not the king anymore, guys. He is running 57% of these snaps. He is not used half the time. He is running hot. He's getting a ton of points. I don't think he can continue it. Obviously, he is a great player, but he gets phased out in like half the game scripts as an absolute barrel of the bottom of the barrel. What's it called? Floor. His floor is just as low as could possibly be. So you absolutely cannot have too much of the king tonight. And so, yeah, let me check and make sure I don't have too much of the king. I only have, 30%. Yeah, that's fine. I'm using his native projection. I haven't goosed it one way or another. What I have done is I have upped Ty Spears and I've upped Jalen Warren, and I have instituted the rules. Max 1 Pittsburgh running back, max 1 Tennessee running back, and that only means between Ty Spears and Derrick Henry, and between Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. I've projected Derrick Henry for slightly more than Ty Spears, just on more opportunities, about 6-5. And then I projected Warren for slightly more than Harris on the same argument, because he's just out there more. Oh, wait, no. I guess Harris is out there more. I just think yeah. I guess there's no math for that, though. It's coin flip. Got to represent the coin flip. 12 and 12. But either way, I'm not going to get to a ton of either of them, and I probably do get to more as much. Yeah, I'm going to get to a little bit more of Najee Harris. I can't let the past color my current perception of the future, and Najee Harris has a chance to be optimal tomorrow. I don't love it, but I can't just cry, and I have to leave him in the player pool. 8%. That's fine. That's a reasonable amount. I haven't got Henry and I haven't gotten Pickett in the player pool because I think 15% Henry captain is way more than is optimal at this stage in his career. He's probably, I don't know, 10% optimal, getting half the snaps in a game where who knows if they're playing from ahead at all. So if he gets the snaps playing from ahead, a lot of ifs. I just can't get there with him being the highest price guy. Or, one of them. Same thing, Kenny Pickett, 12%. Yeah, that's about right. So like, if I'm gonna get Kenny Pickett, like rushing touchdown variants, I want to have more than 12% like leverage on the field. I can't be holding hands with this many dudes. So that's why I choose the guys I choose, because it's so likely that it'd be Ty Spears tomorrow. 2% is stupid. 2% is stupid low for him. What I mean, his price, what, $4,000? Okay, a little higher than I thought. So about $4,500. Doesn't matter. He could smash. He could have he has Derrick Henry's upside. He's running behind the same guys in Derrick Henry's offense, and he's out there the same amount as Derrick Henry. So he has literally the same upside. All right, I'm done yelling about Ty Spears and why you should definitely consider him a captain. Same thing with Jaylen Warren. I think he looks just as good as Najee Harris, if not better, and he's going to be out there in passing situations. So whichever of these guys is out there in the losing game script is going to be winning me money, right? So I don't care who's winning or losing. And, you know, now that I put it that way, what's the game script where, oh, Will Levis rushing touchdown? What's our odds there? It's a good question. Rushing touchdown, 0.07%. So 7%. So we cap him at about 10%. Glad we checked it. Yeah, I don't love quarterbacks who aren't great on the ground in the captain. So that's why I've lowered Levis, and I guess I'm going to a little more Deontay. Okay. Deontay's little across the middle routes getting caught 100 times. Yeah, that's fine. You know, let's spread that around among Pickens, Hopkins, see where that goes. You 2x the field on Deontay's fine. Yeah, more Jalen. Okay. So we're really heavy on Jaylen Warren and Ty Spears plays now. I like that. I like being 5x the field on both those plays. 10x the field on Ty fine. I just think those guys are solid plays. And that's pretty much. I didn't do any wild stuff. All of the value was bad, so I just unclicked it. You can play with Wesco, you can play with Washington. You know my feeling on backup tight ends. They're totally playable. It's just I don't know. I played some Chris Moore because I think, you know, what if somebody gets hurt, right? I mean, that's kind of grim, but, you know, that's basically him catching a pass. Upside is somebody getting hurt. And 2.5% is underselling the chance that somebody gets hurt in the game, right? So, I mean, you know, eventually you do have to play if you're 150 maxing. I'm 20 maxing. So I don't really have to play my 10% Chris Moore, my 5% Kyle Phillips, but just to get different, possibly take a 0, you know, that's okay. All right. Don't really have much to say about this slate. You've heard it. It's play the backup running backs. Play the backup running backs and then cry on Twitter when the regular running backs score the touchdowns, which obviously they will be expected to do on first and second down, and we will only get there on third down. But again, that's a third of the time. And that's where, I mean, just like these ownerships are nuts, like, right? So if it's a third of the time that our guy gets that rushing touchdown because it's on third down or whatever, it's a passing touchdown, whatever, well, he's 7% owned, he's 2% owned. We have massive leverage at captain. Whereas if our other guy is 2/3, you know, likely that he rushes it in, well, first of all, he's got to get to 22 points. And so, I mean, I guess that's in the captain. So is that 14? He needs more than a touchdown. Derrick Henry has to also go for 100 yards and a touchdown or have 2 rushing touchdowns to be optimal, right? Like he's priced for it. And even if he gets there, he might need the third, depending on what else happens in the game. So it's not quite the same situation as with these cheaper guys, where if they get there, get the touchdown, get to 12 points or whatever, that's definitely going to be the optimal captain. I mean, plus or minus weird game situations, obviously. Somebody else scoring all billion more touchdowns. And obviously, if this sounds wrong to you, you should keep Derrick Henry in there. You should probably match about 15% if you're a 150 maxer. I'm just taking stands because with the 20 max, I want to make sure to have, you know, my part of the phase space pretty well sampled. So that's what I'm going for, is to say if you know, if Ty Spears is rocking it, if Jaylen Warren's rocking it, I don't have to look at that. I don't have to look at my phone. I know it's going well. Yeah. So you guys know the plan tomorrow. And remember, you're good enough, you're strong enough, and gosh darn it, someone's got to win that money. Might as well be